Denver takes a step back to slow the spread of coronavirus.
People's livelihoods are at risk. Our kids' success in school is at risk.
Restaurants will feed fewer customers.
We're going to see additional layoffs and or furloughs.
Gyms are still waiting to learn if they'll have to close.
What I can say is more to come on that.
Plus, one of Colorado's most notorious murder cases goes before a jury. Firefighters shiver through much-needed snow, and Denver7 viewers tell evacuees to eat up. Breakfast and lunch is on them.
I just want to thank you guys for everything you did for us today.
Boy, with numbers like these, it was never a matter of if restrictions would be tightened, but when.
1,400 additional cases reported by the state this evening. 648 people are in the hospital tonight. 538 are confirmed cases. Those other 110 are suspected to have the virus.
Since March, we've all been working hard, pushing the boulder up the hill, slowly, making progress, getting back to normal. And it's taken every one of us to make the progress that we've seen. That boulder has just rolled back on us because some people have decided that they didn't want to push anymore.
All right, so here's the deal. Denver will now mostly slide back to level 3 on the state's safer at home model. And we say mostly because while restaurants and offices must reduce occupancy, the city is making an exception for bars and allowing them to stay open as long as they stop serving alcohol at 10. As for gyms, the state's plan calls for them to close. Denver leaders have not confirmed that will be required.
Denver7's Megan Lopez with the fallout tonight. Megan, businesses may understand why this is happening. Doesn't make it any easier for them.
It certainly doesn't, Shannon. A lot of businesses are just trying to make it week to week or month to month with so much uncertainty around the COVID-19 pandemic over all these months. Restaurants in particular are worried that this new round of restrictions will cause even more of them to close permanently. In the world of restaurants, it's sink or swim.
The restaurant industry has never been an easy one.
Every year, new eateries open while others close.
We're in it because of passion.
That reality never more clear than this year, but also never this dire.
Half of restaurants have told us within 6 months they'll consider permanently closing under the current conditions.
Now another trial. Denver is moving back to a level 3 of safer at home, meaning restaurants must cap their indoor capacity at 25%. For the Colorado Restaurant Association,
Obviously extremely concerning. I mean, restaurants were already hurting before this.
the rollback is disheartening since even Mayor Hancock admitted restaurants are doing everything right.
So the fact that those that are working so diligently to keep people safe are now being forced to go into tighter restrictions is really frustrating.
And this latest change could mean more places closing for good.
Every time we see more restrictions, we're going to see additional layoffs and or furloughs for restaurant employees.
Others
Last week, we started planning around what these restrictions would potentially look like for us.
are trying to see the silver lining, like homegrown tap and dough in Wash Park.
We are definitely thankful that the restrictions that went into place today are not going to impact outdoor dining.
With colder weather, no one was dining outside today, but they're working on tents and heating, asking people to consider takeout or delivery and follow the health orders. So these latest restrictions are brief.
Hopefully back to business as normal when we get to closer into the holidays.
And Ann and Shannon, retail, offices, personal services, places of worship, they're also going to be limited to this 25% indoor capacity. So you're talking about a lot of other industries that are also going to be feeling this type of pain.
You know it. And Megan, I know we talked about gyms earlier. State guidelines are calling for them to close, and Denver hasn't committed to that. So I know you've spoken with some local gym owners today. How are they reacting to all of this?
Well, there's a lot of questions, Ann, about will they close, won't they close, should they close? And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of clear answers at this point from the city. So this new level of safer at home orders calls for only virtual fitness classes or outdoor classes in groups of 10 or less, but no working out indoors anyways. The city was asked about that today and deferred to the state, saying that there is some leeway, but we didn't get much of an answer from the governor about what that could look like.
I think at this point, what I can say is more to come on that. We'll see what decision the state makes along those lines.
We fully support Denver's efforts to contain coronavirus growth in Denver before it overwhelms hospital capacity, before it costs unnecessary life. And of course, we look forward to providing them with the very best scientific data to drive decision making.
And after both of those press conferences, we emailed the mayor's office again and asked for a little bit more clarification, and we're still waiting to hear back. So again, right now, Ann, it's just a really big question mark about gyms.
Yeah, and We know those businesses are waiting for information. All right, Megan, thank you so much. And Arapahoe County, by the way, will tighten restrictions tomorrow evening. Most restaurants will only be able to serve 50 people at a time, although some larger ones can have up to 100. Gyms will be limited to 50 people no matter their size. Adams County will close gyms entirely. Stores will operate at 25% capacity, and restaurants will do the same, again in Adams County, with a max of 50 diners.
And you heard the mayor Hancock say the reason we're seeing this explosion in cases is that some people just don't care anymore and they are getting other people sick. And experts don't think that's the only reason people are getting sick, but they do believe preventing that kind of behavior sure would be a big help.
What we do know is this virus spreads from person to person contact, right? So it requires people to have face-to-face contact with others, usually for extended periods of time, usually without masks and usually indoors. I don't think we can pinpoint one thing in Colorado that has taken us here. There's a lot of theories out there, but I think what we do know is to slow down the spread, those types of interactions need to slow down as well.
Main takeaways here: wear a mask, order to go instead of eating in general, be even more cautious than usual so we can get these numbers down before the holidays.
A look tonight from up high of the devastation wrought by the East Troublesome Fire. 2 people, Lyle and Marilyn Heileman, died after refusing to leave their home near Grand Lake. We know 192,000 acres have burned, and the fire is only 20% contained. Meanwhile, very little in the way of change for either the Calwood fire or the Cameron Peak fire. Thankfully, both have stalled out in the snow, and Cameron Peak is 64% contained, Calwood 76%.
And the snow that slowed the spread of these wildfires is now making it tough for the first responders. The commander of operations on the East Troublesome Fire says the roads are slick, visibility is low, and everybody is freezing. That said, they'll sure take these conditions over the ones we saw just a few days ago. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson monitoring the snow and the ice and the cold all over the state. So what are we looking at in the next 24 hours, Mike?
Another chilly night tonight, but it's not going to be quite as cold as the 8 degrees we had early this morning, which set a new record. Skies are clear. There's still snow on the ground, this view out at City Park, and the winds will be relatively light. So we get what's called radiational cooling time. In other words, that snow reflects the heat quickly out into the clear skies and the temperatures drop fast. Already at this hour, it's down to 14 up at Granby. We're in the upper 30s to low 40s most of the rest of the Front Range. The skies are clear, and as far as conditions tonight, we're going to drop back down to the teens this time instead of the single digits. A nice warming trend is coming our way over the next few days. I don't see any moisture coming up. Another cold night tonight, but temperatures will be bouncing back a little bit tomorrow and then dry and warmer for the rest of the week, the weekend, and into early next week. I'll have the forecast all the way through to Election Day coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Mike. Denver7 viewers have given a lot over the years. Sometimes the gift is extravagant, a new car, keeping a veterinary clinic open.
But few gestures have been appreciated as the one you delivered today. Here is Jacqueline Allen.
At the DoubleTree in Westminster, Denver7 crews come bearing gifts.
There's drinks and coffee over here too.
A hot breakfast.
These are garden veggie and those are ham and Swiss.
And a kind word.
Thanks, guys. It's really good. Oh, no problem. How you doing? Good luck to you.
This all started when Contact Denver7 found out fire evacuees like Louisa Hudson had their hotel rooms paid for by the Red Cross, but not their meals.
When you have to leave in such a hurry, you just forget things. And the last thing on your mind is food, but then you get somewhere and then you have to have food.
Thanks to generous donations from viewers to our Denver7 Gives Wildfire Victims Fund, we brought in breakfast.
We got lunch.
And lunch for more than 140 fire evacuees. A sign, Chris Hayden says, of support.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the golden strand that runs through all of this. This is the first time, like I said, I've been on the receiving end, and I'm just blown away by the outpouring of generosity and kindness on the part of the people.
I took this while my boyfriend and I were evacuating Estes on Thursday.
Some of those forced from their homes, like Haley Salter, are still in shock.
It looked like it was almost nighttime. It was so terrifying. All of the gas stations were either closed or out of gas, and we were like on an eighth of a tank. It was really scary.
But she and other evacuees tell us they found comfort in the community support pouring in.
Awesome just to see all the stuff laid out on the tables. Definitely keeps people positive.
Thank you, Denver7 Gives, for coming through for us. This has been amazing. Breakfast, lunch, having you guys here serve this morning, I really think a lot of people got a kick out of that, so that was really fun.
day today, we have been watching people from the community bringing in donations of food and supplies for these evacuees. Restaurants are also stepping up. GQ Barbecue is bringing dinner tonight. Snooze is bringing breakfast in the morning. They want to make sure these evacuees are taken care of. In Westminster, Jacqueline Allen, Denver7.
Wow, that is impressive. And listen to this. You, Denver7 viewers, have donated $174,000 in just the last week, and every single penny will go to somebody who needs it.
Yeah, thank you so much. A jury will reconvene in the morning to consider the fate of Dreon Deering. He's the man accused of murdering Adams County Deputy Heath Gum. Deering's attorney has argued his client is not guilty because he was trying to save his own life when he shot Gum during a pursuit in 2018. Well, prosecutors say that defense is nonsense and that this is a clear case of cold-blooded murder. While the death penalty was originally pursued, the DA is now seeking a sentence of life in prison.
Nearly 1.8 million Coloradans have already voted. All but 31,000 did so by mail. By the numbers, 37% of ballots have been submitted by registered Democrats, 35% have come from unaffiliated voters, and 26% from registered Republicans. Our election night coverage begins 5 o'clock Tuesday right here on Denver7.
ABC News will bring you the results as they come across from all across the country. We will break in whenever there is big news to report here locally, or put up two screens and flip back and forth. We will have nonstop coverage of our local races and ballot initiatives beginning at 6 o'clock on the Denver7 app, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV.
Coming up, when their world fell apart, their first thought was to come together.
I mean, it is the most traumatic thing I've ever witnessed. But having these people here to help us get through it has been amazing.
A chilly day today, but coming up we have 60s, maybe even 70s.